Streaming live. Okay. Welcome to this voter services event from the League of Women Voters, Edwardsville area, with the endorsement of our partner organization, the Edwardsville chapter of the NAACP. The current president of the Edwardsville chapter of the NAACP would like to greet you. Welcome.
Good evening and welcome, and thank you for having us. Several years ago, we started participating with the League of Women Voters for this candidate forum. As the president of the local NAACP chapter, we feel that an informed public, an engaged public, is an active public on issues that affect us most. This allows our members to be able to put their voices in the room. So Ms. Thompson and you and your organization, thank you for allowing us to participate with you. I will turn it back over to you, but thank you.
Okay, thank you. The League of Women Voters, which recently celebrated its 100th anniversary, is a national organization that is devoted to educating voters and encouraging voting. The NAACP, likewise, with a mandate to advance and promote the achievement of their rights of people of color, has a long history of promotion of informed voting. Democracy requires an informed and involved electorate. The League of Women Voters is affiliated with no political candidate or party as an organization, although it has positions on matters such as education, community welfare, and the environment. Our members reflect a variety of personal public opinions, personal political opinions, and our mandate together is to provide fair and informative voter services events. It is nonpartisan. Tonight's event includes candidates for the Edwardsville mayor, Edwardsville aldermen from wards 2 and ward 6, Edwardsville Township supervisor, Glen Carbon mayor, Glen Carbon village clerk, and there's one school board member candidate due to scheduling problems. All candidates for each race have been invited to one or two of our voter services events. Tonight's event is being live streamed on our Facebook page, which is the League of Women Voters of the Edwardsville area, and will be available for later viewing.
Rachel, you got muted.
Rachel?
Yeah,
Got me.
there you go.
All right. Tonight's event is being live streamed on our Facebook page and will be available for later viewing, posted on our website, which is League of Women Voters of Edwardsville area. It will also be broadcast on local cable TV channel 993. We ask that no other recording take place, as the FCC and the league rules require that the event not be edited, but to be broadcast only in its entirety. Local cable channel will probably broadcast it if they hold to their traditions twice a day from now until the election. Since we can only ask relatively few questions tonight, other sources of information regarding the positions of candidates can be found on the Illinois Voter Guide, which includes candidate questions and answers. And I urge all candidates to supply their answers to the questions on the Illinois Voter Guide. The Illinois Voter Guide is posted on our website, League of Women Voters of Edwardsville area. And also you can reach it through illinoisvoterguide.org. illinoisvoterguide.org. Also, ouredwardsville.com, that's spelled O-U-R, ouredwardsville.com, Edwardsville Candidates and Positions, contains the positions of Edwardsville candidates, especially regarding the Ninny and Edwards statute and racial equity issues generally. The Edwardsville Intelligencer newspaper also plans to print candidate information. So again, candidates, when you're contacted, please supply your information. So there are many rich sources of information. We can only ask a few questions tonight. Now, candidates. In most cases, other than one exception, you will have 2 minutes for your introduction and 2 minutes per question that we will be asking. I will be asking different candidates different numbers of questions, but each candidate for each race will be asked the same questions and the same number of questions. When you are speaking, we prefer to have a timing situation that you can see, but since in Zoom, that's really rather impossible. When you have 1 minute that remains in your 2-minute presentation, we'll ring this lighter sounding bell. And when you're at the end of your presentation, I'll ring this heavier sounding bell. So that'll indicate that your allotted time is over, and I'll have to probably interrupt you at some point, but I'll try to allow you to finish your thought. Okay, so then I think we've taken care of the technical issues. So we'll start with the candidates. I'm going to begin with candidates for the Edwardsville mayoral position. And there are 2 candidates. I'm going to ask Stephanie Malink to be the first person to introduce herself to the voters, and let the introduction include your top priorities for this position and how you would accomplish them, and what you think are the most important qualifications for this position and how you meet these. Thank you. Unmute.
My name is Stephanie Malink. I have been born and raised in Edwardsville. I moved away for a little bit, but came back last year. I graduated from EHS in 1994 and SIUE in 1999 with a double bachelor's in early childhood education and psychology. I then moved to St. Louis and received my master's degree in social work from St. Louis University with a concentration in working with the elderly and in healthcare. I have been a volunteer in the Edwardsville area with various community groups since 1995, even when I was not living in Edwardsville, including the Glen Ed Food Pantry, the Junior Service Club. I am the founder of the Bring Your Own Glen Ed group, and I currently serve on Cool Cities Edwardsville. My day job is I am the editor and a reporter for the Times Tribune newspaper out of Troy. And that is kind of how I got into politics. I cover many government meetings from the smallest village board up to the county board. And I have learned what makes for a good government and what makes for a lower functioning government. So I decided to give it a try this year. My top priorities are to, number 1, rehab and develop the city's current infrastructure and developments before expanding. This will bring the city more money by increasing property values with minimal expenditures and no new taxes or fees. Protect wildlife and citizens by leaving areas undeveloped. As more roads are developed and traffic builds in new areas, possums, raccoons, skunks, and deer are more at risk for being hit, leaving the ecosystem unbalanced, causing damage to vehicles and potentially death to motorists if they hit a larger animal like a deer. Number 3, make Edwardsville a city where residents feel heard by hosting neighborhood town halls with residents to find out where their priorities are. Even within our 7 wards, there are many unique communities that have their own needs. I believe that I am a good candidate for mayor because I have been involved in covering government for almost 1.5 years now. And because I have seen what makes good government, what makes bad government. I've grown up in Edwardsville. I have seen the changes that have gone on here. And I have a vision for the city that can survive in a post-COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'd like to ask the other candidate for this position to introduce himself. This is Art Risavy. I'd like you to please to introduce yourself, including your top priorities for the position and how you would accomplish them, and what you think are the most important qualifications for this position and how you feel you meet them.
Well, thank you. I'd like to start by thanking the League of Women's Voters for the forum tonight. A little bit about myself. Once again, my name is Art Risavy, and I am a candidate for mayor of Edwardsville. My wife's name is Rhonda, who's an HR professional. My son's name is AJ. He's a senior at Lincoln Memorial University, graduating in business. He's a salutatorian, and he'll be attending SLU Law School next year. I graduated from Boston University with a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations. And after graduation, I started working for a local bank, which is Magna Bank, and I was a division manager where I managed 5 branches. After that, I started working for our family business, which has been in business over close to 60 years, Swing City Music. We have 2 locations, one in Edwardsville, one in Collinsville. We specialize in selling musical instruments. We also do band instrument rentals, and we also have an installation department where we install sound systems mainly for churches and school gyms. We help them with their audio and their video systems for streaming and Zoom like this tonight. I've always been interested in serving the community. I've been alderman for 10 years, and this is my 3rd term. I've had the great opportunity to work with 2 mayors, 3 city administrators, many dedicated department heads and city employees, but most importantly, I've had a chance to work for the citizens of Edwardsville. As alderman, I've had the opportunity to serve as chairman of the finance department and committee, and also the chairman of the Administrative and Community Services Committee. These experiences has prepared me to guide the city of Edwardsville through the next 4 years, along with all of our dedicated council members and city employees. I feel the most important qualifications for this position is experience, which I have as a 3rd-term alderman and a small business owner. But there are things that are important to me, priorities. Number 1, I think all the aldermen would agree, is infrastructure. Improving roads, streets, and sidewalks is something that our citizens demand, and we will continue to do so. Also, parks and recreation. As you know, Mayor Patton has done a tremendous job with the new parks. I would like to wrap around and pay a little of attention to our older parks to make sure they are on par with all the new parks that we've gained over the last 8 years of Mayor Patton's leadership. And I would also like to continue to support our fire and our police departments, giving them the tools they need to continue taking care of our community. Once again, I wanted to thank you, and I please wish you consider my support, your support for me.
Thank you. We have 3 questions for the mayoral candidates. Candidate Stephanie Malink, can development ever be too much? How would you balance other values such as environmental concerns with those of development?
Okay, yes. Development becomes too much when there are not enough resources to maintain what has already been developed. As one of my advisors mentioned in a meeting I covered for my job, you don't add on to your existing house until your current house is structurally sound. Environmental concerns can be balanced in the following ways. One of the current projects Cool Cities is supporting is a citizen investing in planting crops on the site of the new Nexamp solar farm on Pogue Road. Number 2, encourage restaurants to grow their own vegetables and spices through lenient ordinances and encouraging partnerships with local farmers. Oops.
Okay.
Encouraging residents to plant vegetable gardens instead of ornamental flowers and ground cover in place of grass in their lawns.
Thank you. Okay. Now the next question, the same question I will direct to candidate Art Recipe. Can development ever be too much? How would you balance other values such as environmental concerns with those of development?
Well, development can be too much if you don't have long-term planning. And one of the things that we do as aldermen is we have countless meetings and hours with staff and department heads to focus on the long-term planning of our city. We spend a tremendous amount of time doing that every week. But development should be managed and balanced. A few of the things the city has done to modernize its codes to keep pace with development trends are the following. We've created a mixed-use zoning district. We've updated the B1 Central Business District zoning code. And most importantly, we've adopted citywide design guidelines. We've added a requirement for buffer zones between commercial and residential. And we require green space on new developments, both passive and active. One of the most important things that we've done is the 200 acres for 200 years, where we have purchased green space, which will help us with our carbon footprint throughout the community for years to come. And all these things are long-term effects, which will really help with growth in our community and make sure the demands of our citizens are being met.
Thank you. The next question I will direct at candidate Stephanie Malink. What policies would you pursue to promote racial and social justice in our community?
I plan to promote social and racial justice by encouraging all citizens to get involved in the community and Edwardsville city government. In 2021, you can no longer tell what a person identifies as just by looking at him or her. Many equal opportunity categories are not ones visibly identifiable and cannot be asked during interviews. Providing affordable, high-quality housing is the only way to attract a diverse population. If SIUE students cannot afford to live in Edwardsville without 3 or 4 roommates, that makes retaining graduates difficult. New housing should not only be affordable, but high quality. I would like to develop a new position within the city management system of cultural relations director, where we have someone that meets with the different groups that already occur and are already meeting in Edwardsville to see what they feel their needs are and to work with them. I would also like to see a replacement or an enhancement of the Manny Jackson Center, where perhaps the city buys the current building from Lewis and Clark Community College for a nominal fee and then leases it out to someone that would be interested in operating a museum that gives the history of Edwardsville and some of its key historical artifacts, such as the Lincoln School, the Pogue store wall that's across the street at the old Rusty's, the mural from the old public safety building, and of course the Ninian Edwards statue. I believe the Ninian Edwards statue would be fine where it is until a substantial structure can be found to house it in with proper educational background.
Thank you. Candidate Art Risity, what policies would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
Thank you for the question. The Race Relations and Equity Roundtable that was formed by Mayor Patton was an immediate response to the large protest in Edwardsville and also the killing of George Floyd. From the roundtable, many things came from there that we're moving forward with. We're reestablishing the Human Relations Committee, which will be an advisory committee to the mayor and city councilmen. We've also approved and are moving forward with diversity training that is scheduled during May and June. That's already been approved and moving forward. And we've also implemented changes to our hiring policies at the city and the way we advertise and the way in our interview process. And we're looking at the potential of possibly hiring a diversity officer, inclusion officer to work at the city. And the last thing that came from this forum is we were going to be moving forward with an affordable housing study that is moving forward right now as well. So all of these things came out of the roundtable, and I'm going to do my best to move all of these efforts forward if elected. Thank you.
I have another question. Candidate Stephanie Malink, would you support and further the creation and implementation of an energy use transition for the city?
I am 100% in support of creation and implementation of an energy transition program for the city. While wind power has been deemed ineffective in our area because we do not have the sustained winds, even on the bluff, to keep windmills going, solar power is a very viable option. A perfect example is the new Nexamp solar farm that is going up on Pogue Road that's slated for going live this summer, where people whose houses are not oriented towards maximum effectiveness for the sun or who rent can rent solar panels and be off electric and have solar power. There are also other solar programs in the area that people can purchase solar from, such as Grow Solar, which the city has worked with and has solar panels on the bandstand. I would like to see the new firehouse, when it is built, have solar panels on it, and I would also like to see solar panels on some of the other city buildings. There is also an option, at least through Grow Solar, that a business can put solar panels on their building and provide solar to residents and other businesses that cannot afford the solar themselves. I believe if we do all of this, Edwardsville can reduce its use of fossil fuels significantly within the next 10 to 15 years.
Thank you. Candidate Art Recipe, would you support and further the creation and implementation of an energy use transition for the city?
Thank you for the question. To me, energy use transition means moving from solely non-renewable fossil fuels like coal-fired power plants towards more renewable energy sources such as wind turbines and solar panels. The city is currently doing this in a number of ways, which we will continue to do. One example is we've purchased hybrid vehicles when economically feasible, and we will continue to do that as we move forward in the future. We're preparing new buildings for the incorporation of solar energy. An example of this that we've done in the past is the solar panels at City Park. We installed those and that was approved by the aldermen. And another example is the center, the new hockey rink that is approved, is currently retrofitted initially for solar panels down the line if the aldermen are inclined to approve that as we move forward. So it's already set up for the installation of solar panels. So we're also preparing new city buildings in addition to that, and we're also retrofitting older buildings with LED retrofits. Some examples of that is 200 East Parkway, portions of City Hall, and also the maintenance buildings at M Street. And coming up this year in 2021, we'll be retrofitting the water treatment plant as well. And we've also installed variable frequency drive VFDs at the water and wastewater plants. So all of these things are things we've done and will continue to do. And I am open to anything that improves our environment that is economically feasible for our city. Anytime there's an opportunity, we need to look at it and evaluate it.
Thank you. Well, thank you, the mayoral candidates from Edwardsville. You've heard from Stephanie Malink and Art Recipe, the two candidates for the mayor of Edwardsville.
Thank you.
We will move on now to the candidates for the Ward 2 alderman position in Edwardsville. I'm going to start with Jack Burns. I'm going to ask Jack Burns to introduce yourself to the voters, including your top priorities for this position and how you will accomplish those, as well as the most important qualifications you see for the position and how you meet those.
Hi, my name is Jack Burns, and I'm running for re-election to Ward 2 Alderman. My wife, Lori, a retired Edwardsville school teacher, and I have been residents of Edwardsville for 28 years. Prior to that, we were residents of Glen Carbon for about 10 years. I have my background is finance. I've been in banking most of my career. I've owned companies. I've worked for Fortune 500 companies and have owned my own companies. So I understand the anxieties of people that are self-employed. My priorities, the first one would probably be, not in any particular order, would be downtown parking. This would enhance that business district. It is a vibrant district now, but this will certainly improve it even more. This enhancement would be paid through TIF2 expansion and private finance. The tax that are generated through this development would more than offset the debt service on any bonds that have to be issued. The second issue that I'd look at is the construction of the new fire station. This will serve the eastern portion of the city, And it's the existing facility is antiquated and very costly to operate. To support this, it will be a 0.25% sales tax. Expand our water treatment plant is a must. Safe and reliable water is to our businesses and residents is the top priority. This is already structured in our water rate bill. I would like to continue to monitor and support our efforts for equality and inclusion in our community. I am in full support of the police department's open forum on the use and training to address community relations. I will support any participant affordable housing programs.
Thank you. I would like to ask the other candidate for this position, Yolanda Crockrell, to introduce herself to the voters, including your top priorities for this position and how you plan to accomplish them, as well as what you see as the most important qualifications for the position and how you feel you meet them.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for holding this forum for us tonight. My name is Yolanda Crockwell, and I am running for Alderman in Ward 2. I am presently a 26th precinct commissioner right now, and I am also a commissioner for the Madison County Housing Authority. I work for Madison School District number 12 as a 21st Century Project Director. I also work for Mount Nebo Missionary Baptist Church as an evangelist, a trustee, an admin, and also an event planner. I am the executive director / vice president for Quad City Community Development Center, which is a not-for-profit organization. I have a degree in business management and some education in early childhood education. My husband, Delanders, work as a supervisor for Madison County Transit. We have 2 adult sons. Dominique, he works for American Airlines. Darius, he attended McKendree University, and after he graduated, he started working for the Federal Reserve Bank as an analyst, and they both graduated from District 7. And we have a dog named Mickey. He's a Maltese. I decided to run in response to the lack of diversity in Edwardsville on the city council. I have 35 years of experience in management, problem solving, communication, and working with the community, and making tough decisions and collaborating with others in the various positions and boards. If I'm elected, I will be an alderman who will be accessible, accountable, to make tough decisions to all my constituents. I will work to ensure the racial equality for all, support the newly revealed Human Relations Commission, and work with co-board members because I believe that we do better together. My main concern right now is that the trails and the walkway, I would like to extend those to connect to Ward 2. And it's a safety issue because when the COVID came, the seniors and the children were riding on the side of the road, and we need to have that walking trail connected for Ward 2 because we have no safety zone here. And also I'm concerned about crime in our community.
Thank you. I have several questions I'll be asking. Candidate Jack Burns, what are the greatest challenges or concerns in your ward?
Well, I think my ward is probably every other ward out there. The main challenge, I believe, is property tax. The housing, the property values are going up, which creates an additional burden on the homeowner. I want to keep our tax rate flat. Do not want to increase it. The city is very good, and they're continuing to look at other forms of financing, whether it be grant money. They also look into low cost loans. Our staff members are very good at this. I'd also like to maintain and improve our infrastructure, streets, sidewalks, storm sewers. They are our investment. They are the investment to our community. Public safety is an issue also. We have an excellent fire and police department. Our firemen, our paramedics, they answer health calls and fire calls. Our police department are excellent. They travel the neighborhoods and try to and develop relationships with the people that live in these neighborhoods. I also am a big believer in the satellite, the cameras that are proposed to be put on 157. I think that that's an excellent idea. I would like to push that our HOAs, our neighborhoods, do the same thing. We do have some funds that would be available through the energy grant program. And I would like to maybe get involved in trying to solicit other funds to help with this project.
Thank you. Candidate Yolanda Cockrell, I would like to ask you, what are the greatest challenges or concerns in your ward?
Okay, thank you. Again, safety. I want to extend the walking and bike trail to include Ward 2. I want to continue and maintain to repair our streets in our neighborhood. I want to also, we want to also work with the police department and the HOAs locally. We just had a meeting last week to get together about the theft and the crimes that's in our neighborhood. From there, I want to get together so we can write a grant to get the cameras up in our neighborhood while we partner with the local police from Troy and also Edwardsville police officers and local law enforcement.
Thank you. Going back to candidate Jack Burns, how would you choose to balance development in Edwardsville with other concerns such as environmental priorities?
Well, development has always been an environmental issue. First of all, I want to tell you, I'm a strong environmentalist, always have been, always will be. I think both can go hand in hand, but it has to be controlled. The city has a very favorable carbon footprint. We're replacing lighting with LED light bulbs. We're installing new light fixtures. Presently, we're in the process, and this is all through grant funds, no cost to the city. We're putting in a computerized traffic signals from Cottonwood Road down to Montclair Avenue. This will improve the traffic flow, thus eliminating fuel consumption and minimizing the CO2. Another thing that the city has done that we need to really be proud of as far as the environment goes, we've added over 218 acres of parkland in 7 years. The total will be 361 acres. This is something that certainly our future generations will appreciate.
Thank you. Candidate Yolanda Cockrell, how would you choose to balance development in Edwardsville with other concerns such as environmental priorities?
Well, I would like to say that environmental is very important to me. I believe that we can build quality development while preserving green space. This would be a best outcome for our community and our city. It is my understanding that the city of the development has a process how they will bring in businesses with the space to cause less problems for our city as possible. So environment is very, very important to me, and green spaces also.
Thank you. Candidate Jack Burns, what policies would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
Well, as Alderman for Ward 2, I approve of the city's changes of its personnel code. I support the HR department policies on inclusion and equity by supporting equal employment opportunities, equal pay, and anti-discrimination policies. I also advocate the establishment of a more diverse board. I strongly support the affordable housing study that's going to be performed. My background is mortgage banking, and I would like to participate in that. I know there are many programs out there that can help subsidize down payments. There are some programs where grant money is the down payment, which is a grant usually, is forgivable after 5 years. There's all kinds of programs available that I want to research. I'm not familiar with the city programs, if the city would get involved, I have to determine how and where we can fund this program. Go FHA, RD, VA, there's a lot of programs out there.
Thank you. And Yolanda Crockrell, what policies would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
Thank you. If I could, I would promote equality forward. Starting with me, I believe to promote social and racial justice, we must get Black and Brown leaders involved in our council and our police departments. We need to have our council to look like our city. We are a melting pot. Currently, our council board is only considered of one race. The Edwardsville is nearly 20% non-white. Edwardsville is still in a growing stage, and this is a great place to live. We are a melting pot, and we need to show our youth that we are supportive of diversity, social and racial justice, and by being an example, because I do believe that we are better together when we work together. And when our leadership looks like a melting pot of our city, I think then we can have a buy-in, not only with our youth, but with people coming here and be a welcoming to Edwardsville, because Edwardsville is a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank both of the candidates for Ward 2 Alderman. You've heard from Jack Burns and Yolanda Crockrell. And we will move on now to the Alderman position for Ward 6. Thank you, candidates. For Ward 6 Alderman, I would like to ask Jennifer Warren to introduce yourself. There you go, Jennifer. To the voters, including your top priorities for the position and how you would accomplish them, as well as what you feel is the most important qualifications for the position and how you will meet that.
Sure. Good evening. I am Jennifer Warren, and I'm running for Edwardsville City Council to represent Ward 6. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of this event. I'd like to start by telling you just a little about myself. I live in Montclair with my husband, Matthew, of 15 years, and together we own a computer consulting company. I'm also a chief operations officer for a community bank. As someone who grew up in several small towns, I sincerely have a passion for our quality of life in this city. The quality of our parks and other resources is a result of the vision and competent management of previous councils and city staff. With 3 city council seats and the mayor on the ballot, city governance will see significant changes. I would like the opportunity to help keep the vision and policies that have made Edwardsville a special and unique community. My priorities at this time would include improving walkability and access to green spaces and trails within Ward 6, making the necessary investments to update our aging infrastructure, and fostering economic development that respects our history and aesthetic while making our city a unique business and tourist destination for the Metro East region. Overseeing city affairs is a highly technical and detailed endeavor, but the first qualification for anyone seeking office is the willingness to serve. To this end, I appreciate the support family, friends, and colleagues have given me to run an effective and hopefully successful campaign. Beyond having a passion and willingness to serve the community, you should be an effective project manager and communicator. My 20+ years of management experience working in banking and owning a small business has allowed me to develop these necessary and important skills that I hope to be able to use on City Council.
Thank you. I would like to turn to candidate for the same position, Larry J. Miller, and ask you to introduce yourself to the voters, including your top priorities for this position and how you would accomplish them, as well as the most important qualifications for the position and how you would meet those.
Thank you very much to the League of Women Voters and AACP for sponsoring this event tonight. I appreciate the invite when one of the Democratic Party didn't think to invite me to their candidate forum. I'm happy to be here tonight. I'm retired from the Air Force. I've lived in Edwardsville since 1989 when I retired. I also retired from the Postal Service, and I'm a volunteer for Madison County Emergency Management Agency, where I work on the operations team, and I'm also a certified Community Emergency Response Team instructor. Married, been married for 46 years, have 3 kids and 3 grandchildren, and very happy to have them living all in the area. My parents didn't get that opportunity because of being in the Air Force, I was overseas and other places with the kids, and they didn't get the opportunity to see the grandkids as much as I did, as much as I do now. My priorities would be, as everybody else has said, the infrastructure. It's aging, it's cracking, the sidewalks are getting bad. My walks around the area before my knee decided not to work for me too well, I noticed that the sidewalks need a lot of work throughout the community. As mentioned, also downtown parking, there is no parking. We want to rejuvenate the downtown area, but to do so, we need to have adequate parking in the area. I need to investigate a little bit more about the super lot initiative that was advertised or brought up at the last council meeting. Some of the qualifications I believe the person needs to be an alderman is service. And I've done that all my life. I've been in service for my country for 22 years in the Air Force, service to the through the Postal Service, and now serving the communities as a volunteer for the Emergency Management Agency. I'm willing to accept feedback, and I believe that what we need to do is keep the citizens involved and have some sort of newsletter or some way to get their input for the issues in the community. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you. I have several questions for you candidates. Candidate Jennifer Warren, what are the greatest challenges and concerns in your ward?
You know, Ward 6 is a tale of 2 cities. The ward is made up of contemporary neighborhoods with shared green space and legacy neighborhoods that have aging infrastructure. Even though Ward 6 is home to some of our most modern parks, safe access to them by many of our residents is only available via an automobile. The development of the I-55 corridor will likely significantly increase traffic through the ward, which needs careful planning and consideration. And we need to make sure that any development of the I-55 corridor region is guided by the city's comprehensive plan and our current policy and laws.
Thank you. Candidate Larry Miller, what are the greatest challenges and concerns in your ward?
As pointed out, Ward 6 is mostly residential. We have three parks in the cities, the Plummer Family Park, a Joe Glick Park, and Rotary Park. We've got 2 churches, St. Mary's and St. John's, got the Loyal Order of the Moose, and we also have the bike factory. So based on all of that, we're made up mostly of residential areas. As I indicated earlier, the infrastructure is what's important, especially in the 700 block of Harvard Drive. The road's getting chewed up. There's a section of Madison Avenue between Christie Lane behind Kohl's and up to Franklin where it stops. It needs some serious work. It's like a washboard going through that road. We need to also watch and control the excessive speed through the neighborhoods. We have 2 schools, or pardon me, 1 school, but access to LeClaire School. And we finally got some sidewalks in down Grant Avenue, but we need to make sure that we have sidewalks in the area that are walkable without tripping. And that's what I could think of off the top of my head. Thank you.
Okay, candidate Jennifer Warren, how would you choose to balance development in Edwardsville with other concerns such as environmental priorities?
Well, as I stated in my previous response, Ward 6 is a tale of 2 cities. And yes, for new development, we can balance environmental standards through ordinances. However, the challenge is Ward 6 is primarily comprised of older neighborhoods, some dating back to the 50s or earlier. Like anything else, our environmental footprint could be significantly less if we could repurpose and improve existing assets. I would want to ensure the city continues to make it a priority to upgrade the infrastructure, such as sewer, water, and storm drainage in our aging neighborhoods. We also need to improve the condition of our aging street surfaces as well. Improving walkability is also important, as a lot of our neighborhoods were built when wide sidewalks and connectivity between neighborhoods were not required. And to this end, I would like to have a citywide inventory of existing infrastructure so we can identify and prioritize as a community what the needs actually are.
Thank you. Candidate Larry Miller, I would like you to answer how you would choose to balance development in Edwardsville with other concerns such as environmental priorities.
Thank you for that question. One of them, I think we need to move back a little bit on new development, and with COVID, work a little bit on recovering and helping our local businesses recover in the development. We have seen a lot of businesses that have suffered from the challenges of being closed and other aspects of COVID. I often think that developers want to buy out the requirements for green space. I would hope that we could reduce or eliminate that ability to buy out green space to have actual passive or active green space in the community. I served on the Plan Commission from Edwardsville from 2013 to 2017. And one of the things that I heard with new development was a concern over stormwater runoff. And I would want to make sure that appropriate planning by the developers was accomplished to keep the stormwater runoff to prevent it from affecting other neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Jennifer Warren, what policies would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
You know, when I first read this question, the first word that came to mind was diversity. In my travels, some of the richest experiences I've had is when we visit multicultural communities. With our proximity to the university and its ability to attract students and faculty from around the country and the world, we would greatly benefit if just a fraction of the faculty and students chose to call Edwardsville home. But beyond having a multi-ethnic and cultural community, we must always make racial and social justice top of mind. I commend the previous council and the foundational work they did to reach out to our community and adopt the directive for improving race relations and equality in Edwardsville. The committee that will be formed is a great first step, and I hope to have the opportunity to use my seat on council to build on this foundation. But most of all, communication is key, and to this end, I'll continue to engage the residents of Ward 6 with virtual and hopefully one day soon to be in-person town hall meetings. My campaign currently hosts a Ward 6 Wednesday virtual meeting every week, and I would invite anyone to visit my website and register for the next meeting.
Thank you. Candidate Larry Miller, what policies would you pursue to promote social and racial justice in our community?
Thank you for that question. As a member of the City Council, I would make sure that the Human Rights Committee got off to a proper start and was able to get whatever support we needed from them or for them, and get support from them to help make the decisions we would need to make to increase the justices in the city. I've never been in a position before to create policy in the military. I just was in a supervisory position to ensure policies were being adhered to. And I think right now that policies do exist regarding the tolerant activities for our first responders and the police and fire and EMT. Employment practice should be followed to make sure that equal opportunity and diversity are addressed. Injustice in whatever form it takes or whatever objective you put in front of it needs to be avoided. I think that what we just need to do is practice and model tolerance and be respectful and open-mindedness and hope for peace for all of our residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You've heard from candidates Jennifer Warren and Larry Miller for the Ward 6 Alderman position in Edwardsville. I'm going to move now to the Glen Carbon mayoral candidates. Again, we'll have several questions for each candidate, and we'll ask to begin. I'm going to ask candidate Danny Lawrence begin where, oops. See here? Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know how I missed you right in the center. Candidate Danny Lawrence to begin by introducing yourself to the voters, please, including your top priorities for the position and how you will accomplish them, and the most important qualifications for the position and how you will meet them. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for hosting this event. And it was nice to sit here and kind of listen to the Edwardsville folks and kind of relax me a little bit. So first and foremost, I've moved to Glen Carbon in 1993. I did leave for a few years and I was welcomed graciously to the community next door, Edwardsville. And I wanted to pursue this job with the mayor of Glen Carbon. So I moved back because of the restriction. You have to be here for 1 year to do so. I've been back for approximately 4 years. Let's see. My main objective here to run for mayor, it kind of has a double-edged sword to it. I started with the village of Glen Carbon after serving 27 years as a salaried foreman at Granite City Steel. The job opportunity arose and I thought, boy, what a nice opportunity to work straight days and be here in the village and just a few minutes away from work. I started my career with the village as in the garden department. We had a gardener and I was an assistant. Worked my way up. After I left the union job, I became a street superintendent. I was promoted after that to the position of public works coordinator. And I'm back to street superintendent now. I've been with the village for 18 years. I've been very instrumental with administration and improvements for water and sewer. We've had a lot of infrastructure here. I'm very fortunate to work with some outstanding administrators and people inside the village of Glen Carbon on these issues. And I would like to, are you ringing it, dear? Sorry, okay. My biggest asset is I've been inside of all of these meetings where all of this groundwork takes place. I will make myself accessible to the village residents. In doing so, as you may or may not know, I have to relinquish my job with the village if I become mayor in Glen Carbon. I have been endorsed by Sheriff John Lakin. I am very committed to our police department, and I will remain to do that in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bob Marcus, I would like you to introduce yourself to the voters again, including your top priorities for the position and how you will accomplish them, and the most important qualifications and how you will meet them.
Thank you. My name is Bob Marcus. I'm running for mayor for Glen Carbon, and I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters of the Edwardsville area and the NAACP for the opportunity to speak at this wonderful event again. A little bit about myself. I've been serving the village since 2015. First as a Planning and Zoning Commission member, and in 2017, I became a village trustee. I've been married to my wife, Karen, of 18 years, and she's a real estate broker with Butler Marcus Realty Group of RE/MAX Alliance. I have a daughter, Caroline, who attends EHS, and my son, Bobby, attends Liberty Middle School. As trustee, I've had the opportunity to serve as head of the Public Services Committee. I've also served on the Finance Committee and Building and Development Committee. I've also had the benefit of receiving Illinois Municipal League training and continuing education on issues regarding tax levies, building, development, and public service issues. The most important qualities for a mayor are to be fiscally conservative, the ability to make difficult decisions, and administrative skill and experience to carry out mayoral functions, and I have those top qualities. My priorities for the village are to keep the village tax levy low and continue financial stability as the village emerges from COVID-19 pandemic. The village's tax rate has decreased every year since I've been a trustee. My second priority is to fully support our police department and provide resources for safety initiatives and training to ensure we have a safe community. This includes officer training, awareness, and recruitment to ensure our police department continues its non-discriminatory law enforcement. And my third and final priority for the village is to ensure responsible, smart growth and development in the village. Due to our location, we are blessed to have many opportunities for residential and commercial development. throughout the village. And as trustee and a member of the Building and Development Committee, we can accomplish responsible growth by considering the development, the comprehensive plan, reviewing plats, traffic studies, drainage studies to ensure the development meets our standards and makes sense. Again, thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you. Candidate Danny Lawrence, I have several questions. The first being, what structures going forward will ideally be used to incorporate residents into committees and decision-making in Glen Carbon?
Thank you for the question. As I have stated in some of my postings, my door open policy, I believe that is key. I will look at our volunteers and committees, and I'll urge residents to please get involved. I will always have that open door line of communication to assist committees as I am needed. For several years, I've helped the homecoming committee and other committees that have taken place within the village. And volunteers in the village are just key. All of our committees are volunteers. Nobody is paid. I believe that work is necessary to continue the village's growth. If there's an issue, no matter what time of day, the committees are there. I'm there. I will support all the local events. For me, reviewing meeting minutes from the committee meetings as they approve or disapprove items, and I can be reached for further discussion if needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bob Marcus, what structures going forward will ideally be used to incorporate residents into committees and decision-making in Glen Carbon?
In 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, for the first time in Glen Carbon history, we were forced to conduct our board and committee meetings remotely. The virtual format of our meetings made it easier for residents to attend, and I would like to continue that to the extent possible. We need to improve our technology and communications so we can consistently offer quality streams. Glen Carbon has several boards and commissions and committees which are made up of resident volunteers who are appointed by the mayor. These commissions and boards meet periodically to vote on issues, and they provide valuable insight and feedback to the village board. But what we really need is residents that want to be involved. As an example, in this election cycle, Glen Carbon has 3 trustee positions available, but we do not have a contested race. So we really need people to be involved. And we have a variety of ways that residents can be involved. We have a residents advisory board made up of residents, and they meet quarterly, and they can present resolutions to the board. We have a business advisory board that meets quarterly as well. We have a zoning board of appeals and a planning and zoning commission. If residents are interested in development and zoning issues, we have a Glen committee if a resident's passion is history and local artifacts. We have a Cool Cities Committee, which makes recommendations for green initiatives, environmental friendly initiatives. And we also have a Community Events Committee, which plans our homecoming Glenfest. So there's plenty of ways to get involved. We want residents to get involved. And if you are interested, please contact the village. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Danny Lawrence, is more affordable housing needed in Glen Carbon? And if so, how would you approach a solution to this need?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the question. Yeah, we have lower disposable incomes, do not have many housing options when looking to live in this area. Younger individuals just starting their careers, people moving back from the college or to care for family members. Example, my daughter would have liked to have stayed in the area, just recently was married. It was just a little bit out of their budget at this time. It would be nice to provide more opportunities for this to happen. I believe there needs to be input from our community of residents. There may be certain available properties that lend itself to this type of housing, but type and location need to be determined by the community as a whole. An open conversation with the village board and residents would be the first step. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bob Marcus, is more affordable housing needed in Glen Carbon? And if so, how would you approach a solution to this need?
Yes, more affordable housing is needed in Glen Carbon, and the village has received some interest in affordable and HUD housing in the last 6 months, and we are exploring that. Glen Carbon is blessed to be a high demand community. We have a great school district and many amenities, shopping and parks. We're close to St. Louis, the St. Louis Airport, the Mid-America Airport, SIUE, and have access to a great highway system. Because of this blessing, land and property values are high, but property taxes are high and housing costs are increased. Just 10 years ago, builders were building brand new construction in the $200,000 range. Now you can't find any new construction under $300,000. We can work to address these problems by supporting continued development and improvement for our neighborhoods that already have affordable housing. As an example, in 2018, we created a special service area for our Cottonwood subdivision to improve street, water, and sewer infrastructure. We need to explore multifamily units, plats, and designs for areas of the village consistent with our comprehensive plan. The village needs to continue to be aggressive with the purchase of dilapidated and abandoned properties, because those properties can be converted to affordable housing. And also, I continue to support the moratorium on the impact fee, which is a fee assessed by Glen Carbon to new residents, and then that would be paid to the school district. I'm a member of the Building and Development Committee, and I took the lead on the impact fee moratorium. I don't believe one taxing body, the Village of Glen Carbon, should be imposing, collecting, and distributing taxes, even though they're called impact fees, for another taxing body, the school district. And that alone saves new residents and builders thousands of dollars. So we would like to get to see affordable housing in Glen Carbon, and will continue to explore the recent interest that the village has received. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Danny Lawrence, can development ever be too much? How would you balance other values such as environmental concerns with development?
Thank you for the question. One of the most important features of Glen Carbon has always been the quality of life at the village. Over the years, committees have spent countless hours ensuring that we do not approve a development or a project just because it's presented. But we look at each impact as it would have on the community as a whole. We evaluate each project on its merits, how it will affect our community for better or for worse, how this development will improve the lives of the residents. These decisions cannot be based on one person's opinion, but on the opinion of the public committee and village board meetings. The voice of the residents guide us on where to draw the line with these decisions. As mayor, it would be my job to represent the wishes of the citizens of Glen Carbon and do what the majority believe is the best interest of the village, given the information presented. If the village is to grow and prosper, there will be further development, but it should be done responsibly, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Bob Marcus, can development ever be too much? How would you balance other values such as environmental concerns with development?
Thank you. One of my priorities as mayor, as I indicated, was to ensure smart, responsible residential and commercial growth so development is not too much. As I mentioned, the location and desirability of Glen Carbon sets the stage for robust development opportunities. The land is privately owned in Glen Carbon, and the market determines the development. So our job as a village is to ensure growth that is consistent with our comprehensive plan, are consistent with our ordinances, and so we could approve quality design and construction. A couple examples: we have the commercial development of the Fochak property on the west side of 159, and that's an extremely important development for Glen Carbon. Currently, the village and our board is in complex negotiations with developers regarding extraordinary costs of mine subsidence and a potential TIF or business district. We also have development along State Route 157, and in the near future, IDOT will be reviewing plans for intersection at 157 and 162 and traffic from 162 all the way up to 270. The area is a great opportunity for development, and the village needs to ensure the intersections along 157, especially the intersection at Glenwood Estates, protects the residents and it's adequate for their traffic needs. Glen Carbon is a very desirable place to live, and stifling growth would negatively affect property values, property taxes, and the income the village receives from sales taxes, and would eventually increase the living cost of living per household. I do think there is a need in Old Town to be very restrictive on growth there, because we really want to preserve the Old Town area. Finally, I would balance environmental concerns by ensuring green space and exploring green building certification, such as LEEDs, LEEDS system that would ensure that commercial buildings are designed and operated with environmentally friendly goals and measurable positive effects. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Those are the Glen Carbon mayoral candidates, Danny Lawrence and Bob Marcus. Now we'll move to the Glen Carbon village clerk candidates. I'd like to start with Kathy Perry Scaturo. I'd like you to introduce yourself to the voters, including your top priorities for the position and how you would accomplish those, and the most important qualifications for the position and how you would meet them.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Perry Scaturo. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for hosting this forum this evening. With March being National Women's History Month, I would also like to take a moment to recognize the brave women who have made it possible for me to run for public office. We have indeed come a long way. I have been married to my husband, Terry, for 29 years, and we reside in Glenwood Estates with our 2 sons. My roots run deep in Glen Carbon. I am a 4th generation Glen Carbonite and the youngest of 6 children of Bob and Pat Perry. My great-grandfather and my great-uncle both served as mayor. My great-grandfather worked in the coal mines, and my grandfather worked in the former old train tower. To say I'm proud is an understatement. I attended Glen Carbon and LeClaire elementary schools, graduated from Edwardsville High School, and went on to attend Lewis and Clark Community College and the University of Wisconsin, concentrating in business administration and project management. My career has spanned over 3 decades, which has provided me with extensive experience and knowledge to fully execute the responsibilities of village clerk. I value organization, communication, and efficiency, which I believe are key to this office. I am currently employed as an executive assistant and senior project associate at Express Scripts in St. Louis. My priority is to preserve the past while effectively serving the future. I want our community to grow in a safe and smart manner. It is important to me that we do not lose sight of our small town values. Over these past few months, I have met with members of the village board and staff to review aspects of this position. When elected, I will continue to have these important conversations, allowing lines of communication to remain open. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to hear from candidate Crystal Lasswell. If you would introduce yourself to the voters, please, including your top priorities for the position and how you would accomplish those, and the most important qualifications for the position and how you would meet them.
Hello and good evening. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for this amazing opportunity to speak in front of our community today. I'm honored to be a part of this process. As Ms. Tompkins stated, my name is Crystal Lasswell. I have grown up in Glen Carbon nearly all of my life, attended Glen Carbon Elementary, graduated Edwardsville High School, completed my undergraduate and graduate degrees here at SIUE, and am now raising my own family, and that includes 2 children in the Edwardsville School District and right here in the heart of Glen Carbon. I believe what most qualifies me for this position is my extensive local government experience, accompanied with a master's in public administration and policy analysis. Additionally, I am a graduate of the Weldon Cooper Center for Public Service. I have served in multiple city leadership positions within the St. Louis metro area. My time in local government has really granted me some incredible experiences, and most I have been extremely passionate about. I believe my professional and educational experiences both allow me to have a deep familiarity in many facets of governmental operations and will serve as a great asset to the Village of Glen Carbon. If given the opportunity to serve as village clerk, my priorities and how I would fulfill those duties, I would do so with a willingness and a heart to serve the people of Glen Carbon first and foremost, fulfill my duties with professionalism and integrity, uphold the utmost transparency, while also applying the in-depth and extensive knowledge within my professional experiences. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My question, I'm going to ask candidate Kathy Perry Scaturo to start. What are the duties of the village clerk? And do you see any challenges or improvements to efficiency that are needed?
As outlined on the village website, the position of village clerk is the official records keeping officer responsible for the preparation, execution, archiving of all village board documents prescribed by state statute and village code. Archiving documents, maintaining village board minutes, and election material are listed as the main duties. Once in office, I will fully assess the current process and make recommendations as needed. Technology undoubtedly will play a key role in the improvement of efficiency. As mentioned, I have had conversations with several village officials and staff. I felt it was important to obtain the feedback from those who work closely with the clerk. Providing effective communication, organization, and quality service to our village board and residents are resounding key takeaways that need to be addressed. I know there will be challenges and obstacles along the way, and I am fully prepared to apply my expertise for the betterment of the office. Thank you for your time and attention this evening. I am confident that my experience, knowledge, and skill set will highly be favorable in this position of village clerk. I vow that I will work tirelessly to exceed expectations. I would appreciate your support on April 6th, and I look forward to serving you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Crystal Laswell, what are the duties of the village clerk, and do you see any challenges or improvements to efficiency that are needed?
Yes, if given the opportunity to serve as Glen Carbon Village Clerk, it would be my duty to fulfill and hold the statutory duties and responsibilities of that position as governed by the state of Illinois and the Village Board of Trustees. As Kathy stated, those roles and duties are outlined in detail on the website. Some of those roles may include maintaining official records, documents, vital statistics, and also financial records, among many, many more roles and responsibilities. While the clerk's position may be tasked with some functions that are more clerical in nature, more importantly, I believe this position to be a trusted secretariat to the village board and one of the first and most direct links between residents and our government. Therefore, it would be my priority to build a strong, positive, working professional relationship and partnership with the village board, the leadership, and staff to ensure the position can fulfill its statutory duties, serve the community to the best of its ability, and do so in a streamlined and organized manner. As I've stated previously, I would fulfill my duties with professionalism and integrity, uphold the utmost transparency, become a trusted and reliable resource for village officials and leadership, and become a communication conduit between village officials and the community. I do believe that I stand apart because I am most known to pour my heart into everything I do. I have a passion to serve others. I love to lead and inspire. I have a great ability to be forward thinking. I'm willing to embrace any challenge as it comes. I have a passion for building community and connection and believe my experiences will be a great asset to the village's leadership, the team, and community. Thank you again. I really appreciate this opportunity and look forward to the opportunity to serve my hometown and community.
Thank you. Those are the candidates for the Glen Carbon Village Clerk, Kathy Perry Scaturo and Crystal Laswell. Next, I would like to have the candidates for Township Supervisor. I'd like to begin with candidate Fred Schulte, asking you to introduce yourself to the voters, including your top priorities for the position, how you would accomplish them, and the most important qualifications for this position and how you would meet them.
Okay, thank you. First, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the NAACP for having me this evening and hosting this forum. My name is Fred Schulte, and I am seeking the office of Edwardsville Township Supervisor. I'm a lifelong resident of Edwardsville and also a military veteran. I believe I am qualified to serve as Edwardsville Township Supervisor because of my business, government, and volunteer experience. As a business owner, I continually try to earn the trust and respect of my customers by providing the best products and the best possible service. I currently have served as Edwardsville Township Supervisor and previously served as Township Clerk for more than 17 years. During this time, I have effectively worked with the Township Board to do what is best for the people we represent. Finally, I served on the Church Council of Trinity Lutheran Ministries in Edwardsville for 12 years. 4 of those years, a vice president and chairman of the Personnel Committee. In those 12 years, I learned that you can't make everyone happy, but you must make the decisions that are necessary for the greater good. My top priorities in this position include completing the renovation and expansion of the Township Hall, which will make the building accessible to the individuals with disabilities. I want to make sure everyone has the access to services we provide. The expansion will allow us to increase the services we deliver, provide much needed office and storage space, and upgrade the electrical service to the building. I also want to continue the great progress we have made with increasing the number of people we serve in our assistance programs. Most people do not know about the programs we offer because they're not in need for help with food, rent, or utility bills. But for the people that do need help, we provide much needed help. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Kevin Hall, I'd like you to introduce yourself, including your top priorities for the position and how you would accomplish them, and the most important qualifications for the position and how you would meet them.
Hi, my name is Kevin Hall, and I'm running for Edwardsville Township Supervisor. I live in Edwardsville with my wife, Kelly, and we have 2 little boys, Leland, who is 2, and Calvin, who is 5 months old. I work in IT for the Madison County Circuit Clerk and have a background in computers and marketing. I currently serve as a township trustee, and my experience includes a longer voting record than that of my opponent. I have fought since being elected to provide maximum services to those in our community while keeping our taxes reasonable. I have pushed for assistance to Main Street Community Center's Meals on Wheels, Glen Ed Pantry, Riverbend Head Start, and more. If elected, I will make these crucial programs my priority, especially as people across the township are struggling during the pandemic and in the years ahead. When looking at the qualifications for Township Supervisor, the official duties are listed as Chairman of the Township Board of Trustees, Supervisor of the General Assistance Program, and Treasurer of all town funds, including General Assistance and Road and Bridge funds. And I feel as though I fit this description well. I am a master's in Recreation, Sport, and Tourism Management from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, a management program focused on social and economic development that has prepared me for this role with planning, budgeting, and management. As chairman of the board, I believe you need to work with the trustees on creating a vision and enacting it. I will push to finally break ground on our township office renovation after over 7 years of little action. I will look to help local organizations that provide valuable services to our community, and put together a park committee to create a long-range plan for Township Park that fits in with the Edwardsville and Glen Carbon Park's future plans. Regarding township funds and budgets, I have worked on creating the circuit clerk's budget the past 2 years, which is over twice the size of the township's. You can find out more about my campaign at votekhall.com. I am running for township supervisor to provide a fresh and qualified perspective focused on helping and answering to the citizens of Edwardsville Township. I would appreciate it if you voted for me, Kevin Hall, on April 6th.
Thank you. And I have a question for each candidate. Candidate Fred Schulte, what efforts would you support to assist lower income clients, citizens? Well, I'm sorry, lower income citizens.
Assisting the lower income citizens is one of the basic functions of township government. During my 3.5 years as township supervisor, we have helped more than 2,000 residents through our programs with utility bills, rent, food, etc. We also have increased the number of seniors we enroll in Medicare. Most recently, we became an intake site for emergency housing assistance provided by Madison County. We help residents apply for food stamps, unemployment. We help residents apply for reduced license plate stickers. We help residents apply for help with their utility bills. Our general assistance and emergency assistance programs provide help with rent, medical bills, and emergency housing. We also have vouchers for the local farmers markets. Working with the school district, we provide more than 20 Thanksgiving baskets in need to families in need. But we can do more. We can increase our partnerships with community organizations like Main Street Community Center, Madison County, and the Glen Ed Ministerial Alliance. These organizations help us provide services and support to our residents. Also, since I become supervisor, we have hosted more than 20 lunch and learns where we educate other organizations about the services we offer and other services that are available in our community. Most importantly, the expansion and the renovation of the town hall will make the building accessible to individuals with disabilities. It will allow us to increase services we deliver. The town hall must be able to support the valuable service the township provides. I look forward continuing to work with the town board and the township staff to identify critical needs in our community and provide help when needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Kevin Hall, what efforts would you support to assist lower income citizens?
Yeah, I actually decided to run for township supervisor in order to help people struggling during the COVID pandemic. Before COVID in 2018, the United Way said almost 40% of township households are below the basic cost of living threshold, and I really fear what these numbers would be today. Food insecurity is top of my list when it goes to assisting citizens. I would start off by working with Main Street Community Center to assist them with the Meals on Wheels program they have. The proudest achievement I have of my time as trustee is seeing my years of pushing for increased funding for these meal programs to go from $1,500 a year ago to $20,000 this year. I would also work to start a partnership with our great Glen Ed Pantry, and I'll explore every avenue to help people with food, from grants to a community garden. One great program is the Illinois Senior Farmers Market Program. If you're unfamiliar, it is a great program for our entire community. It allows seniors to stretch their food stamps further with healthy, fresh produce, while also providing additional funds to local farmers. Well, the township handles this program locally, and in 2019, 145 township residents received vouchers. At the end of 2020, mid-pandemic, only 46 voucher packets were distributed. In a year where seniors and farmers could have used extra funds, the number of recipients dropped by over 60%. This is unacceptable. My years of experience in marketing will be handy in informing our residents and in promoting programs like this or other crucial ones like lie heat assistance, or rental assistance. As the father of 2 boys in diapers, I've realized that told diapers can take on a budget. If there are new parents who can't afford essentials like these, I would make sure the township could assist them. In general, this is how I envision the township working, as a crucial tool for those who need help. We can provide a short-term Band-Aid and then be the connection to the countless other great organizations across the region. There are a lot of people struggling across the township, and I know we can do more to help them. If you agree, I would appreciate your vote on April 6th for Kevin Hall for Edwardsville Township Supervisor. Thank you to the League of Women Voters and NAACP, Rachel Tompkins and Walt Williams for hosting, and each of you for taking the time to be an informed voters and go into the polls.
Thank you. That was the two candidates for Edwardsville Township Supervisor, Fred Schulte and Kevin Hall. Now, there is one candidate left, that is the school board candidate for this evening. That is Jenna Bauer Pigeon, Jenna Bauer Pigeon, as she's called. And she was not able to make our event. That was a school board event. So fortunately, she's able to be here with us today. Candidate Jenna Pigeon, I would like you to introduce yourself, including your top priorities and how you would accomplish them and what you think is the most important qualifications for the position you're seeking and how you would meet them.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. My name's Jenna Pigeon. I appreciate you accommodating my schedule and allowing me to tack on to the end of the meeting tonight. I am a mother of 3 daughters. My husband and I have lived here in Edwardsville since 2013. Before that, we lived in Chicago for 5 years, where I obtained my law degree. After about having our oldest daughter, we moved back here to Edwardsville because we wanted to live in a more family-oriented community that was somewhat smaller than what was offered up in Chicago. My daughters, 2 of which are in the Edwardsville School District at Goshen, Alexis and Olivia. And I have an additional daughter, Penelope, who's 2 years old, but she'll be going to that school in a few years. I began my life in St. Clair County, Illinois. I attended St. Albert the Great Catholic School for a few years before moving to San Antonio, Texas. My mother transferred down there when Southwestern Bell made the big move to Texas in the early 90s. I graduated from high school in Texas and then returned to Edwardsville, where my family had relocated. I attended college at Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, where I met my husband, Drew. I obtained my Bachelor of Science in Political Science from SIUE and graduated in 2007. After that, as I mentioned, I moved to Chicago, where I obtained my license to practice law. In 2012, I passed the bar and became licensed to practice law in the state of Illinois. I'm now licensed to practice law in both Illinois and Missouri. I'm a partner at a national law firm that has an office here in Madison County, Illinois, right by the courthouse. And I believe that if elected to the board, my experience as an attorney, and specifically that of acting as a liaison, a risk analysis advisor, and the skills that I've obtained in negotiating settlements between corporations and individuals over the years, as well as mentoring young associates, has provided me significant experience that could be invaluable to the school board. In terms of what I believe are top priorities of someone in this position, I believe that that's arming the teachers, the students, and the administrators with the resources that they need to provide a quality education to our children. The sole reason I have entered my name in this race is because I do not believe that the children's best interests were represented by the school board last year. I believe that we need a fresh perspective on the school board. And I hope that if not me, that we vote for individuals who have a vested interest in the students of this district, who have students in this district, and who have the willingness and tenacity to bring creative solutions to the problems of last year and the many years before.
My first question would be, what will you support or work at to assist students who have emotional and learning needs or technological challenges, especially following COVID?
Sure. I think the emotional, behavioral, and psychological impact of the pandemic and how it was handled in this district and other school districts cannot be underestimated. Mental health issues, including suicide, are on the rise at alarming rates among people of all ages. Just about a year ago, over one weekend, our lives they changed in a way that we could have never anticipated. Children were forced into remote learning for the first time ever. Many people lost their jobs. Many others had to work longer hours, going toe to toe with the pandemic on the front lines, including my sister, who's a nurse in St. Louis. Teachers had to figure out how to teach remotely without adequate resources or even minimally acceptable technology. Parents had to take on the role of teacher while performing their full-time jobs. Children had to learn for months doing worksheets with occasional 10-minute Zoom calls, or even later when the district was supposed to be more prepared, merely 30 minutes of daily live instruction. Some students received a quality education during this time. Others did not. My daughters had teachers who worked vigorously to meet the needs of the students. Others refused to address parent concern about the nature and the extent of the remote learning and live instruction that was given. And the district must begin addressing the issues, including the very real educational gap that we're seeing due to the unequal education that was offered to students of this district last year. A part of this is normalizing discussions about mental health. We need to learn and listen and talk about the concerns of our children, our teachers, and staff. We have to provide everyone with resources and information about where to seek help. We have to get creative to find solutions for the very real problems facing our youth today. I believe one way in which to do this is to tap into local resources and get more boots on the ground to discuss these issues with children at all ages in an age-appropriate manner. For example, I would suggest speaking with the deans of the various schools at SIUE to get prospective teachers or social workers, psychologists, psychiatrists to our schools to work with guidance counselors to develop courses, discussions, seminars, question and answer sessions, or projects on such topics as dignity, respect, kindness, inclusivity, feelings, worry, stress, good behavior, and bad. We need to ensure that there's more than a single guidance counselor per school district or per school to address the needs and concerns of hundreds of students. We should consider implementing more peer-to-peer leadership programs or big brother, big sister systems where you pair older students with younger to serve as mentors or trusted guides. I understand it's incredibly difficult to balance the interests of so many people, but I know that I'm not alone when I say that the sitting board failed to listen to parents, teachers, pediatricians, and children's last year and arrive at decisions that had the best interests of our students at their core. I also know from experience, and because I have family and friends that teach and work in this district, that we have amazing teachers, administrators, and staff that if armed with proper resources, including Wi-Fi at all of our buildings, that we have the ability to deliver the highest quality education to all of our children.
Thank you. I have an additional question, which is how are diversity, equity, and inclusion part of your vision for our schools?
Sure. With respect to those topics, I obviously find it imperative that we introduce diversity and inclusion into the classroom in an age-appropriate manner, but also in a way that ensures no individual bias or prejudice is injected into the classroom. We should have curriculum and lessons that impart knowledge about economical, political, and cultural differences experienced by not only Americans, but people living in other parts of the world. Our children deserve to experience an education that readies them for the real world and all the unique differences and similarities among us that should be celebrated rather than quieted. We can and should teach respect, dignity, kindness of all and for all in an age-appropriate manner in a way that does not ostracize certain groups and individuals. It is entirely possible to do this in a responsible manner without putting too much of the parenting, quote unquote, on the teachers or politicizing the classroom. The goals should be to provide an educational foundation that celebrates the differences among us, that enforces the principles of kindness, respect, and dignity for all, and provides a foundation of absolute inclusivity. For closing remarks, I thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I apologize that I could not attend last week. I hope that whoever, all of you support in this election, that you at a minimum select board members who have an interest in our children, who are willing to work with the children, the teachers, and administrators in a collaborative way to best serve the kids, because they are what's important. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Jenna Pigeon, who is a candidate for the Edwardsville Community Unit 7 Board. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all these candidates. I'm going to repeat the names of the candidates and the positions that were represented tonight. For Edwardsville Mayor, you heard from candidates Stephanie Malink and Art Recipe. For Ward 2 Edwardsville Alderman, you heard from candidates Jack Burns and Yolanda Crockrell. For Alderman Ward 6 in Edwardsville, you heard from candidates Jennifer Warren and Larry Miller. For Glen Carbon Mayor, you heard from candidates Janie Lawrence and Bob Marcus. For Glen Carbon Village Clerk, you heard from candidates Kathy Perry Scaturo and Crystal Laswell. For Edwardsville Town Supervisor, you heard from candidates Fred Schulte and Kevin Hall. And from the school board, you heard from candidate Jenna Bauer Pigeon. And thank you, all you candidates, for taking part in our event. I want to tell the voters that, again, I just want to remind you that we only can ask so many questions since you have to stay within a reasonable period of time. Other sources of information regarding the position of candidates can be found at the IllinoisVoterGuide.org. That link is also posted on our website, League of Women Voters of Edwardsville Area. Also, Our Edwardsville, OUR, OurEdwardsville.com, Edwardsville candidates and positions, also contains the positions of Edwardsville candidates, especially regarding the Ninian Edwards statute and racial equity issues in general. The Edwardsville Intelligencer plans to ask and print when candidate question and answers. So I want everyone to make sure to educate yourself fully to what is available for you as far as the candidates you're voting for. And I'd like to thank you candidates tonight for being part of this and for being willing to run for office in our local area. We need qualified candidates, obviously. So thank you, everyone, and good evening.
Thank you, Rachel and Walt.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it's delightful.